The dream come true, or the beginning of the end. You did it. After years of scraping by, buying scratch-offs with pocket change, the impossible just happened. You matched every number. You just became a multi-millionaire overnight. But before you celebrate, before you start imagining that beach house in Malibu or telling your boss to go to hell, let's get one thing straight. Statistically, your life is about to go downhill. Because the truth is, most lottery winners don't live happily ever after. They go bankrupt, get scammed, or worse. And it's not because they're stupid, it's because they were never prepared for what comes next. See, people think winning the lottery is like getting rescued from all their problems. But what actually happens is more like getting dropped into a storm with no map, no compass, and everyone around you suddenly trying to grab the wheel. Let's rewind a bit. You're standing there, holding the winning ticket. Your heart's pounding. The first instinct? Tell everyone. Post it online. Celebrate. But that's the first mistake that destroys lives. Because the second you open your mouth, you're no longer a person. You're a walking bank account. Cousins you haven't spoken to in years will suddenly remember your birthday. Strangers will find your address. Reporters will camp outside your house. And before you even touch a dime, you'll have to fight off scammers, fake lawyers, and financial advisors who want to help you manage your money. So here's the reality check. If you ever win the lottery, the very first thing you should do is nothing. Don't quit your job, don't move, don't buy anything. Take that ticket, sign the back of it, make a copy, and lock it away like it's the nuclear codes. Then disappear for a few days. Because your life is no longer about how much you've won. It's about how much you can keep. This is where most people fail. They think their biggest enemy is the IRS or bad luck, but it's not. It's the people they trust. The first 180 days. How not to lose everything before you even get it. So, you've just secured the golden ticket. It's signed, photocopied, and tucked away like buried treasure. Now what? Here's where the smartest lottery winners separate themselves from the ones who end up on documentaries about financial disasters. Most states give you anywhere between 90 and 180 days to claim your prize. That window isn't a waiting period, it's your survival period. It's the time you use to quietly prepare for the biggest financial storm of your life. Because the moment your name hits the news, you lose control. And trust me, you will be exposed. In most U.S. states, lottery winners can't remain anonymous. Your name, your city, and sometimes your photo will be public record. California will basically throw your personal info to the wolves. So before that happens, you've got work to do. First, you build your team. And no, I don't mean your cousin who knows about crypto. You need 3 people: a lawyer, a certified public accountant, and a financial advisor, none of whom are friends or family. Your lawyer will set up a trust to protect your identity and your assets. Your accountant will prepare for taxes and audits. And your financial advisor, if they're worth anything, will stop you from lighting your fortune on fire. But be careful who you trust. Many so-called lottery lawyers end up stealing from the very people they're hired to protect. The headlines are full of them. People hand over control of millions to someone with a fake smile and a glossy business card. Months later, they find out the guy's in prison for fraud. So do your research, check credentials, make sure your lawyer is bonded, your accountant is certified, and your advisor is legally registered with the SEC. Now, while your new team is setting things up, your most important job is to stay invisible. Delete social media, change your phone number, tell as few people as possible, ideally none. Because the second someone finds out you've won, your world will shift. Friends will become opportunists, family members will suddenly need loans, and old flames will start checking in. You might think you can handle it, but most can't. Money doesn't just change your life, it changes how everyone else sees you. There's a famous quote, "When you win the lottery, you don't change, everyone else does." And it's true. The pressure, jealousy, and manipulation will start long before you even cash your first check. That's why during these 180 days, your mission is simple. Prepare your defenses.
because when you finally go public, the attack begins. The press conference, when the dream turns dangerous. The day has finally come. You've waited, you've planned, you've done everything right. Now it's time to claim your fortune. You walk into the lottery office with your heart racing. This is it, the moment everyone dreams about. The official hands you the check, congratulates you, and asks the big question: are you ready for your press conference? Pause there, because that's the moment most winners make their first public mistake. See, the lottery loves publicity. It helps sell more tickets. They want photos, videos, interviews, your smiling face next to a giant check that might as well be a wanted poster. And when your name hits the headlines, everything changes. The media finds your Facebook, your home address leaks online, people start camping outside your driveway, old friends reappear out of thin air. Within 48 hours, you'll have strangers sending you letters, claiming their child has cancer, or that God told you you're meant to help them. And the guilt starts eating away at you.
That's why smart winners never show up to the press event. You don't actually have to. You can claim your prize privately, or send a representative, your lawyer, for example, to accept it on your behalf. The check still gets broadcast on TV, but you stay off camera, safe and anonymous for as long as possible. Because trust me, being famous for having money is one of the most dangerous forms of fame. You're not admired, you're targeted. Let me give you a glimpse of what happens next. There was a man named Aruj Khan from Chicago, won $1 million on a scratch-off ticket, smiled for the cameras. A few weeks later, he was found dead, poisoned by cyanide. No suspect was ever caught. Another winner in Florida got robbed and shot just weeks after collecting his check. A woman in Texas won millions, only to be sued by her own family, claiming they bought the ticket. And these aren't isolated cases, they're patterns. Patterns that repeat every time someone goes from broke to rich overnight. So, you walk out of the office holding your check, but before you even cash it, you're already down almost half your money. Why? Because that giant jackpot number on TV isn't what you actually get. If you take the lump sum payout, the popular option, you immediately lose around 40 to 50%. Then come the taxes, federal, state, sometimes local. By the time the government's done with you, your $200 million win is closer to $70 million. Still a lot, right? Sure, but that's not what ruins people. What ruins them is what happens next. The first purchases, the first investments, the illusion that the money will last forever. This is where the real downfall begins. The spending spree, how to lose millions without noticing. You tell yourself you'll be smart, you'll invest, you'll save, you'll live quietly. But then one morning, you wake up and realize you're not built for quiet anymore. The smell of new money does something strange to people. It makes restraint feel pointless. You start small, a car, maybe two, a better apartment. Then you start thinking, I've earned this. Before long, you're buying a mansion you've only seen in magazines. You're filling it with furniture that costs more than your old car. You're hosting parties where half the people there don't even know your name, but they sure know your net worth. And here's the trick about wealth. When it comes fast, it leaves faster. The average lottery winner goes broke not because they make one huge mistake, but because they make 1,000 tiny ones. A luxury watch here, a smart investment there, helping a friend, paying off someone's debt. None of it feels like much until the numbers start dropping, and suddenly you're wondering how you burn through tens of millions in a few years. You might think, that won't be me, I'll manage it. But here's the thing. When you've lived your whole life worrying about bills, you don't suddenly become a financial genius the day you win the lottery. You just become a target with a bigger wallet. Let's say you bought that dream house in Beverly Hills. It's perfect. Views, a pool, everything. But you didn't account for property tax or maintenance or insurance.
That's 6 figures a year, gone, just to keep the lights on. Then come the toys, the cars, the vacations, the yachts, the jewelry. You tell yourself it's fine, you'll make the money back with investments. That's when every grifter and fake entrepreneur in a suit starts circling you like sharks. They'll pitch you everything: restaurants, crypto startups, eco-friendly mining operations in countries you can't pronounce. They'll say it's a sure thing, and you'll believe them because now you think like a rich person. But real wealth doesn't come from big risks, it comes from patience. And patience is the one thing lottery winners never have. You might think the danger is losing money, but that's not the worst part. The real danger is losing yourself. Your friends start treating you differently, your family looks at you like an ATM, you can't tell who's genuine anymore. You feel guilty for saying no, but saying yes keeps draining you. Suddenly, your dream house feels empty. Your phone won't stop buzzing, but nobody's really calling to talk. They're all calling to ask. And the most twisted part? You start missing your old life. When things were simple, when people liked you for who you were, not what you could give. Most lottery winners don't go broke because they're bad with numbers. They go broke because they're bad at saying no. The fall, when the money turns against you. At first, the decline is slow. You don't even notice it happening. Your accountant starts calling more often. Your lawyer's tone changes. You get a letter from the IRS that you don't really understand. You shrug it off. You're still rich, right? But the math is starting to turn against you. The house payment, the taxes, the endless handouts, they all add up. Then the bad investments start collapsing one by one. The restaurant your cousin begged you to fund? Gone. The crypto startup that was guaranteed to 10x vanished overnight. You wake up one morning and realize you've burned through a third of your winnings, then half, then more. It doesn't feel real until you try to buy something and your card declines. That's when it hits you. You're running out of money.
You call your friends, but they're nowhere to be found. The same people who cheered you on when you were rich don't return your calls now. Your family, the ones you tried to help, start arguing over what's left. Some even sue you. Others just stop talking altogether. And then comes the real pain, the humiliation. The press that once celebrated your win is now writing about your downfall. You've gone from the luckiest person alive to another cautionary tale. TV hosts make jokes about your name. Strangers on the internet call you stupid. You were once a headline. Now you're a punchline. The loneliness creeps in. The guilt eats away at you. Some winners turn to drinking. Some gamble, chasing the same high that the lottery once gave them. Others just vanish, changing their names, moving to small towns, trying to start over. But it's hard to go back to being normal when you've tasted everything you thought you wanted. It's not just the money that's gone. It's your sense of who you are. And that's what people never understand about sudden wealth. It doesn't just magnify your opportunities, it magnifies your flaws. If you're lonely, it makes you lonelier. If you're impulsive, it makes you reckless. If you crave approval, it puts you in a world where approval can be bought and then stolen. This is why the story always ends the same way. The money fades, the people disappear, and the winner, the one who had it all, ends up right where they started. Only this time, without trust, without peace, and without hope. But here's the twist. That's not how every story ends. Some winners make it. A few of them actually build a good life out of the chaos. They stay grounded, private, and disciplined. They learn from others' mistakes. So how do they do it? That's where the truth breaks the myth. The myth of the lottery curse. What really happens to winners. Let's be honest. The idea that every lottery winner goes broke makes a great story. It's tragic, ironic, and comforting. It lets the rest of us think, see, Even if I don't win, at least I'm not cursed. But here's the truth nobody likes to hear. That statistic about 70% of winners going bankrupt is a myth. It's been passed around so many times, people stopped checking where it came from. Actual studies show something different. Most lottery winners don't go broke. In fact, they tend to live longer, healthier, and happier than before. They're not all buying yachts and dying mysteriously. Many of them are quietly living decent, stable lives. So why do we only hear about the disasters? Because those are the stories that sell. Nobody clicks on a headline that says, "Local man invests wisely and enjoys retirement." But here's what separates the winners who thrive from the ones who collapse: discipline. The ones who make it know one simple truth: money doesn't fix you, it amplifies you. If you were careless before, you'll be reckless now. If you were humble before, you'll probably stay grounded. The smart ones don't rush to buy a mansion or a sports car. They take that 180-day window seriously. They get a real financial planner, not a flashy guy in designer shoes, but someone who talks more about tax strategy than luxury cars. They put their money in boring things: index funds, real estate, safe trusts. They set budgets. They learn to say no. They also set emotional boundaries. When family members ask for help, they have a plan, a set amount, in writing, managed by someone else. That way, money doesn't destroy relationships. One winner gave millions to charity, but stayed completely anonymous. Another used her jackpot to start a scholarship fund and kept her day job for 2 more years. These people didn't let money change them. They changed how they handled money. But here's the irony. Nobody wants to hear those stories. We crave the chaos, the betrayal, the scandal, the downfall, because it reminds us that being rich might not be all it's cracked up to be. Still, for every broken millionaire you've heard of, there are dozens quietly succeeding, building better lives, and proving that the lottery curse is just a lazy way of explaining bad decisions. So no, most lottery winners don't end up broke. They end up with something the rest of us rarely get: a second chance, a shot to rebuild their lives, smarter and freer than before. The problem isn't the money, it's how people treat it. And that, more than luck or fate, is what decides who keeps their fortune and who watches it disappear. The real lesson: what you should learn before you ever win. Winning the lottery doesn't change who you are, it just turns up the volume. If you're grounded, it gives you freedom. If you're lost, it gives you rope. The real difference between winners and losers isn't luck, it's preparation. The ones who survive treat their winnings like a business, not a fantasy. They plan, protect, and stay quiet. Because at the end of the day, the lottery isn't a curse or a blessing, it's a test. And what it reveals isn't how rich you can become, it's how much of yourself you can keep.